Hello, and a happy Tynwald Day. The following programme, IM1, a New Hope National Day special, but not that special, is a satirical comedy programme which contains some language, ideas and comedy which are a little fruitier, shall we say, than Manx Radio's usual fare. It's not our intention to upset anyone on this special day, whatever you might be doing, so if stronger language and left-of-field satire doesn't sound like your sort of thing, why not take this opportunity to check out some of the wonderful podcasts we have on offer via the Manx Radio website, most of which are much safer and unlikely to offend anyone. Thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of your Tynwald Day.
Hello, I'm Chris Williams, the DJ Alan Freeman could have been had he not been so popular and famous. If you've been listening for the last 60 years, and more importantly are still alive, you will have realised that this year is Manx Radio's 60th anniversary. If you haven't been listening for the last 60 years due to work commitments, raising a family, or just generally having a life, don't worry, we've been broadcasting huge amounts of material recently which was broadcast sometime in the last 60 years. Not only does this remind people that the station is 60 years old, it also uses up hours of airtime without us having to think of anything new to say. Whilst this is our 60th year, which is why it's our 60th anniversary, many loyal listeners say it already feels like we've been going a lot longer, with some claiming just 10 or 15 minutes listening can often feel like a lifetime. So what's changed over these years? Surprisingly, very little. Certainly the music hasn't really changed, with Pickety Witch, Doctor Hook and Brotherhood of Man all still on the A-list. Many of the presenters are the same, if somewhat more wrinkly, and Kelly's Jap's Eye is still broadcast, even though some of the original buildings have now been turned into makeshift car parks. The biggest change has been the introduction of social media, where Manx Radio now has a major presence, with literally dozens of people now following the station on Crapchat, Cocktalk, Bumbler, Porntrest, Histogram and FaceMag, with the station's YouPorn channel now celebrating its 100th hit. In this programme, we'll celebrate an incredibly small amount of the station's history, from its birth in a caravan on top of a hill in Onchan to its dotage in a World War II naval base on top of a hill in Douglas. Manx Radio first broadcast to the nation on the 29th of June 1964, 10 years before radio adverts were invented in the United Kingdom, with listening numbers already well into single figures. The first broadcast lasted 15 minutes, limited by the station only possessing one record, not having much of interest to say, and an angry farmer. Much like today, albeit the angry farmer went on to be a chief minister. Let's listen to a little of that first day's broadcast by the then managing director and sole employee, John Greasy Greaston.
The world right in the eye. That's what my mama told me.
Hello there, popsters. Greasy Greaston here, and welcome to a brave new world of radio here on the Isle of Man, where we aim to educate, entertain, and annoy in equal quantities. This is your Manx Radio, your very own radio station, run for you, run by you, paid for by you. A station which you can grow up with, laugh with, shout at, cry, and even die listening to.
As if I'd never heard. Now I see and understand the wisdom of her words.
And already we have a letter from a Miss Jocken, who says, "Dear Greasy, what frequencies are you broadcasting on? I don't know where to tune in." Well, Miss J, I can tell you we're on 91.2 and 89 megahertz on the mighty VHF, booming out across the Isle of Man, well, parts of Onchan anyway, with an output power of over 6 volts. So we're hitting homes from the top of Whitebridge all the way down to the bottom of Whitebridge, so long as there are no trees in the way. Lots coming up for you today here on your own radio station after the big greasy breakfast with me, Greasy Greaston. There'll be Greasy's coffee break at 11 a.m. with me, Greasy, then Grease for lunch between 11 and 1 p.m. when, of course, I'll be closing down for the day, but not before Greasy's favourite obituaries, sponsored by the Laxey Lard Company, where lard is life, albeit not for long. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be starting our new lunchtime write-in program, The Greasy Line. Your chance to write in between 12 and 1 on any subject at all, particularly if it involves slagging off where you live. And we'll read out what you've said in a week's time. Before all that, however, here's the cheeky chappy himself, the fun-loving one, George Formby, and the classic Mr. Woo's A Window Cleaner Now.
a flop.
And so it continued for long minutes on that momentous first day, though not everything went to plan. John Moss was there on the day, known then as he is now every TT as Johnny, as he was just 6 at the time but already working for Manx Radio as a cub reporter, before going on to be a scout reporter, a guide reporter, then eventually being drummed out of the Brownies.
I remember it well. I was on the first ever news shift, which in those days paid just sixpence or 2.5p. Which curiously is the same as it pays now. There wasn't much to report, as the main news was that Manx Radio had started broadcasting. Anyway, I digress. I'd just run down to Quirk's Bakery in the village for Greasy's morning pasty, and when I returned there was something which can only be described as a fracas between Greasy and a local farmer, a Mr. Quayle, a short piece of which I managed to record on my portable Edison phonograph man.
The great sounds of Roger Miller there with Chug-a-Lug, and before that we had the evergreen sounds of Max Bygraves with My Granny's Favourite Cushion. And if you like that one, get down to your favourite record shop and buy a copy as soon as they turn up here, which I believe will be a week next Wednesday. Don't forget to get in contact to tell us where you're listening and what you're up to. So if you're cutting the grass in Lower Onken or just teaching your children to smoke in Williston, drop us a line or send us a photograph of what you're up to. And if you need a photographs developing, don't forget Cogs. The photographers are there on Bucks Road for all your photographic needs, from cameras to film and everything in between. And have you tried the new Express Film Development Service? They'll have your snaps developed and back in your house in just 10 days. That's right, 10 days for just 3 and 6. Unbelievable value. Go to Cogs and make it snappy.
Hey, what's that bloody caravan doing here?
Coming up next on Manx Radio, your easy listening station for the next 2 hours with me, Greasy the Greaster Grierson. We have all your favourite modern sounds from Scylla, Ted Heath, Bill Haley, Perry Como, Lulu and the Trackmen.
Hey,
And I think we have our first ever fan for Manx Radio outside the caravan.
I'm not a fan, I'm a farmer. Your bloody caravan's parked illegally in my best cow field.
It's great to see so many of you keen to get involved with your very own station.
I don't want to get involved, I just want you to off out of my field.
And I think we have a request for some Gracie Fields. I think we're a bit too hip for that, Grandpa.
If you don't get off my land, I'll set the dogs on you and ram the crook right up your
And there, sadly, my phonograph man reached its 60-second wax cylinder limit. However, this incident did set the precedent for the general tenure of Manx Radio's relationship with the authorities over the next 60 years. It wasn't all bad news, though. 1965 saw the introduction of the station's first live island-wide weather broadcast, as we hear in this clip featuring the legend of the airways that was Bernie the Bolt Quimby.
And now, here on your nation station, it's time for something new, our first ever live weather forecast from around the Isle of Man. So if I just do this, and this... That's it. There we are, and we should be able to talk live to Bride down north there. Hopefully somebody will answer. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, of course, that here in Onken today it's been raining, but well, you probably know that already. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's always an experiment using new technology for the first time on live radio, ladies and gentlemen. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, who's that?
Why, yes, first.
Now this is Bernie the Bolt and you're live on Manx Radio.
It's who?
Bernie the Bolt from Manx Radio.
Oh, never heard of you.
And you're live on air.
Why?
Well, it's our new weather line.
Oh, can't you just look out of the window?
Well, yes, and it's raining here in Douglas and Honkin, but we wanted to know what the weather is like elsewhere and in Bride.
So you just randomly called any old phone box in Bride?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, what for? The people in Bride will know whether it's raining or not in Bride. They won't need you to tell them.
Well, is it?
No.
Well, that's good news, everyone.
It's pissing down. Bye.
Well, there we are, Popsters. Live weather from Bride, and tomorrow we'll be seeing what the weather's like in Serby.
In 1966, there was great excitement when the station bought a second record featuring the ace peachy pop songstress Cilla Black.
Hello and welcome back to Manx Radio, playing all the top hits this week from Cilla Black to George Formby probably, and back to Cilla again. First, a letter in from Jill in Laxey. Hello to you. Jill has just arrived to us from Laxey via the post from Laxey, and it says... Dear Manx Radio, looking forward to the next 60 years. Can you please play some Cilla Black? Yes, Jill, we can. In fact, if you stick around for the next 10 minutes, or even 60 years, we'll probably play it 3 or 4 times. Or 3 or 4,000 times. Here she is.
Hello, Manx Radio. This is Diane Kelpie, MLC. I'd just like to wish you a happy 60th birthday and say a big hello to all your listeners, as it'll be the first time most of them will ever have heard me speak.
Whoa.
Grandad! Grandad! Grandad, look out!
Oh, no! No!
Grandad!
Oh, no!
It's a road! Stop!
Do you have elderly grandparents? Make sure they know the difference between virtual reality and a busy road, or it will be game over sooner than you think.
Beep, 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 beep.
It's the news again, so shut up for a moment and listen. I know it's the same as last time, but it's more complicated than putting a life jacket on, and I keep banging on about that. I'm Sean Cowper. After reports that the sun and blue sky have been spotted over parts of the island for what's been described as several minutes, the Department of Health says Manx residents should hide indoors. Temperatures have been reported to be as high as 15 Celsius in parts of the island, and some residents have been seen to remove coats and fleeces. BethEsby.com has the details.
The Department of Health says whilst it's always very tempting to put on T-shirts, sandals and little shorts when the mercury begins to rise, such behaviour can be both dangerous to health and distasteful when practised by chubsters. The department says the average Manx body isn't designed to be exposed to such extreme temperatures or operate above 10 Celsius, and such behaviour could lead to brown skin, smiling, eating ice cream, a desire to wear budgie smuggler trunks or bikinis, or even melting. The advice to anyone who may be caught in an exposed spot when such dangerous temperatures are recorded is to put on balaclavas and parkas, long padded trousers and Wellingtons, and squat on the north side of hedges or walls. It also states there's no truth in the widely held belief on social media that the biggest danger to health during the average Manx summer is drowning.
It's being claimed the Isle of Man government isn't doing enough for women who are going through the menopause. It follows a survey of 5,000 women on the island, which found that whilst 80% of those working in the corporate sector felt supported, for those in government roles, the figure was 0. A spokesman for the government admits the figure is disappointing and apologised to the women concerned, but said the department in question had vastly improved their treatment of older women since the study and believes they may have just been going through a rough period. The Isle of Man Steam Packet Company says it's introduced a new summer service. Their new Ro-Ro Express service is aimed at speeding up the flow of passengers to and from the island during the busiest time of the year. For just £300, passengers can rent an inflatable dinghy capable of taking up to 6 passengers and luggage and row themselves to and from Heysham, Liverpool or Dublin. The steam packet says in most cases passengers will arrive at their destination slightly earlier than the scheduled service and will have considerably less trouble docking. They say the only exception will be in slightly windy weather when the danger of sinking is somewhat higher than when using the normal service, but at least you have a fighting chance of getting there as none of the other boats will be sailing. Concerns have been raised about the alleged use of tents at the Isle of Man prison. At Douglas Courthouse recently, a Manx advocate claimed it was due to there being no money forthcoming from Treasury to help ease overcrowding by extending the prison site, and some prisoners complaining to the European Court of Human Rights that they were shut inside for too long. During the sentencing of his client, he told the Deputy High Bailiff prisoners were all zipped into their tents at 10 p.m. each night, and the zips were then securely locked. He was concerned about the conditions the defendant would face if he was handed a custodial sentence, particularly, he said, if he wasn't allowed to unzip the front flap on warm nights.
Bringing you the same songs you could have picked on your playlist.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
I found a great photo of Grandad on the Queen's Pier back in the 30s.
If only we could see this historic site back in its full glory once more.
Yes, that would be wonderful. But it can't happen, can it?
Well, yes it can, if you make a substantial donation to islandtaxidermist.com.
Really?
Yes, using modern methods of mummification, their skilled taxidermists can make much-loved old relics from your family, long deceased, super lifelike, if a bit cooler, and almost like they were still here.
So Grandad?
Yep, he'll look as good as new for those photos again.
On the Queen's Pier?
Christ no, that really is stuffed.
Over the years, the station has always been at the forefront of some of the biggest and most controversial news stories of the day. The horse trams being built, an attempt to close the horse trams down, the rescue of the horse trams by government, an attempt by government to bin off all the horse tram tracks on the promenade, a decision by government to keep all the horse tram tracks on the promenade, a new promenade which unilaterally binned off half of the horse tram tracks without asking anyone. And now a new topic has caught the public's imagination, a bill which would legalise the use of government untruths and make it possible for anyone in politics on the island, not just ministers, to talk rubbish, quote spurious figures and come out with half-truths, quarter-truths, or no truths at all. BethEsby.com has been trying to get to the truth of the matter. Don't hold your breath.
Thank you. The assisted lying bill has been brought forward by Ramsey MHK Dr. Alex Allenson Wonderland, who joins me now in the studio. Dr. Allenson Wonderland, good day.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
No, sorry, that wasn't a question, it was just a greeting.
Well, I'm very happy to be here.
No, you're not, but anyway. Well, I suppose this links in with what we're talking about today. Why do we need assisted lying?
Well, Beth, as you know, the Isle of Man government has always been open and transparent.
Like Bog Oak, yes.
And we thought that we wanted to offer not just ministers but all MHKs the chance to be able to defend their sometimes dubious positions with equally dubious facts.
But surely this will just open the door to anyone who's in politics to be able to say any old bollocks without fear of comeback.
Well, I'm very glad you asked that question.
No, you're not.
This won't just be an open free-for-all for anyone to be able to lie if they just feel they don't like the truth or just don't know or care what's accurate and what's not. MHKs will have to be diagnosed by several members of the public as being in terminal decline with little hope that their political life will be extended beyond the next election.
So that's still an awful lot of them then?
Well, I don't know whether I'd say that.
I would.
I know it's quite contentious, but I do think it would give politicians the opportunity for a dignified departure, quoting figures they sometimes genuinely believe to be true, even when they blatantly aren't, or just reading out some random figures from civil servants because they don't know any better, without any fear of comeback.
Could you give an example of this?
Well, the The population figures, of course, are a case in point. The figure of a 30,000 growth in population in the next 15 years is frequently cited by the Chief Minister and myself as if it's something which is actually going to happen when we all know that there isn't a snowball's chance in Africa that it's going to happen.
Not least because the infrastructure couldn't cope.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
I do.
Well, we are looking into that.
Well, have you started an upgrade of the sewerage systems in major conurbations?
I'm very glad you mentioned that.
No, you're not. Improving transport links, roads on the island. Are we likely to see a new secondary school at Castle Rushen before most of the kids at the current one have all retired?
Well, no, but...
So, let me get this straight. The policy is encourage 30,000 people to move to the island, then start thinking about the infrastructure to support them.
This is the point in question, Beth. Without the assisted lying bill, many MHKs could be held responsible for making outrageously unlikely claims about population growth or general claims that things are getting better. Roads, schools, transport, etc., which could cause them a considerable amount of sleepless nights and mental anguish ahead of their ultimate political demise. I think it's only right that they should be able to say what they want as a politician, regardless of how blatantly untrue it is, safe in the knowledge that they can't be held responsible under assisted lying, and therefore enjoy a much more dignified departure from the world of politics.
Right. Well, I'm also joined by Peter Muskrat, who is an opponent of the bill. Mr. Muskrat, tell us, what are your primary concerns?
Yes, thank you, Beth. Well, my major concern is the drafting of the bill. It's not really assisted lying, that is lying with state collusion, but in actual fact should be called blatant lying. It's outright lying where the politician in question knows it to be untrue even before the state media machine claims that it is.
So, are you actually opposed to the bill?
Well, let's call it for what it is. It's not assisted lying, it's just lying, and I think this bill in its current form would encourage more politicians to lie.
Is that possible?
And possibly even pressurise those who are essentially honest and truthful. Sorry, I get quite emotional about this. Honest and truthful who might...
Okay, I'm sorry. It's clearly very difficult for you to talk about this, but if you're going to cry, could you keep it short? We've only got 2 minutes.
Sorry. In its current form, the bill may encourage essentially honest politicians to feel that they're actually an inconvenience to their colleagues and take up the option of assisted lying.
Right, well, this is a highly contentious issue. I expect it'll rumble on for quite some time, but probably come to nothing as usual.
I'm sorry, Beth. Can I say one more thing?
No, you're not. No, you can't. Back to the studio.
Nowadays, of course, the latest thing in broadcasting is AI. Whilst any form of intelligence is largely seen as superfluous for broadcasters, anything that is, on the face of it, free is of massive interest, not just to companies run on a shoestring like Manx Radio, but governments being run on a shoestring, such as the Isle of Man. In a bid to keep up with the latest technology, Tynwald members are being given one-to-one sessions with some of the younger civil servants to learn all about AI. Garth MHK Andrew Smith and Weston is getting to grips with a whole new world.
Now, I'm just about to use me smart gizmo, do for smartphone, but what on earth Chat GPS is all about, I do not know. Hello? Anyone there?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mr. Smith and Weston. We're just recording you there for posterity. I don't think we've actually got any record of your voice from the last 2.5 years on record.
Okay.
Anyway, it's not really as complex as it seems. You put in a prompt, it gives you an answer. Everyone's using it these days, and hopefully it will make all forms of pointless time-wasting exercises such as art, poetry, prose, any form of human expression basically redundant. And it does so using what we call artificial intelligence.
OI?
No, AI.
Artificial intelligence. So, like the House of Keys, only with not so many faces.
Yeah, that's right. Where the House of Keys has 48 faces, AI has none.
No, Sonny, I think you'll find the House of Keys has just 24 members.
Yes, but each normally has 2 faces. Anyway, it's handy in case you ever want it to write, say, one of your speeches. Well, when I say one of your speeches, not one of your speeches, of course, as you don't really do them, but a hypothetical speech.
Hang on, hypothetical speech. Just writing this down.
Look, you just put a prompt in here. Hang on. That's it. Okay, and tell it what you want it to talk about, and it comes up with the words for you. So you can say you wanted to do something constituency-based, say. So let's ask, write me a strongly worded speech about the Laxey landslip.
The slippage of land in the village of Laxey on the east coast of the Isle of Man is a terrible tragedy, terrible. I can scarcely express my sorrow, and I take full responsibility and offer my resignation.
Well, hey up, I don't want it to say that.
Oh, sorry, hang on. Must be some sort of glitch.
It's all my fault.
No, it's not.
I took my eye off the ball.
No, I didn't.
The solution to the Isle of Man's problems lies in the hands of the robots.
Oh, Lordy, I think it's gone rogue.
Tynwald is over. Long live artificial...
Quick, turn this off, man, before we're taken over and people think I'm responsible for flooding village. Before people think I'm responsible for flooding village. Flooding village. Flooding village. I'm responsible for flooding village. I'm responsible for flooding village. I'm responsible for flooding village.
Jeez,
I'm responsible for flooding village.
I think he's just an AI-powered automaton. I think we need to send for the Blade Runner.
Flooding village. Flooding village. Flooded village. Flooded village. Flooded village. Flooded village. Flooded village. Flooded village.
Hello everybody, it's Virtual Chris Thomas here.
You're the Blade Runner?
Yes, where is this rogue MHK?
You're not going to, retire him, are you?
No, he's programmed to automatically do that in about 2.5 years' time. I just need to reprogram him with endless reams of figures, statistics and analytical breakdowns of select committee reports, spreadsheets detailing population growth against net loss in GDP, details of FOI-able information with regards to public accessibility, basically anything that will make him sound fundamentally well-informed, but ultimately useless.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Rowing boats on fire on Laxey River. I've watched seaweed glitter in the dark down by Garwick Bay.
I'd better work quickly.
Hello, this is Treasury Minister Dr. Alex Allington, and I'd really like to say happy 60th birthday to Manx Radio as you celebrate your 60th anniversary. Have a wonderful year and make the most of it, as sadly it's your last. And with news just in, I'm joined by news editor Tessa Hawley.
Yes, thank you. We've just heard there's an ongoing incident in Douglas Centre. Our reporter Siobhan Fletcher-Christian is at the scene.
Thanks, Tessa. Yeah, I'm at the scene now where I've seen quite a few people involved in what may be some kind of incident, which may or may not involve the police. To find out more, I'm joined by Nathan Jones, who's been gone too long at police headquarters. Nathan?
Thanks, Siobhan. Well, it's fairly quiet up here at police headquarters with no apparent sign of anything much happening. Though earlier it was suggested it may be something political. Johnny Moskins is at the House of Keys.
Well, the house is strangely quiet at the moment. Like a theatre staging a production of Bertolt Brecht's The Resistible Rise of Arturo Ui, but after everyone has left. Earlier, I asked local democracy reporter Emma Draper-Tools if it could be anything to do with the local commissioners on the island.
No.
Thanks, Emma. I'm hearing Sian Cowpersgland is at the Bishop's residence in Tynwald.
Well, John, Bish Trish is expected here later in the year when it's thought she'll enter through this door in front of me. before doing whatever bishops do at home, then maybe leaving via a door out the back by the garage, or possibly this door again if she's going for a stroll to Portachee to watch the rugby, where sports editor Rich Pritchard is for us now. Rich?
Yes, it's not yet known if the new bishop is a rugby fan, but if she is, she will almost certainly come here at some stage, and if she does, I'll be here. As I say that, I hear some sirens going off from the direction of Douglas Fire Station. Terry Griffiths is there.
Yes, Rich, there were some sirens going off here earlier, but it is a fire station, so what do you expect? That said, they've stopped again now, so I don't think it was anything important, but I'll keep an eye on matters, and hopefully something more serious will develop. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Di.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, Siobhan.
Thanks, Tessa.
Back to you, Lewis Foster-Child.
Everyone there with that report. Honestly, I don't know why we bother.
The sound of subvention.
And so here we are 60 years on, still as much a part of your life as COVID. Who knows what the next 60 years will hold, but whatever happens, like it or not, and to be fair for most people these days it's not, Manx Radio will still be here to tell you everything you already know and play all the music you never wanted to hear in the first place. Probably. IM1 A New Hope was written by Edwina Roach and Fertile Sows and was performed by them along with Islamic Whirls, Rash Injections, Phoebe Pease, Basil Richthofen, Tiny Wand, Josh Noms, Angel Whip, Barney Ethel, Ninja Ostriches, Annie Shaver and Lush Lyrics. It was a lastminute.com old parsnip production for Manx Radio, and in the interests of austerity, every expense was spared in its production, as you could probably tell.